We call paper 2 the deep dive because instead of looking at 4 different topics like the first paper, our second paper focuses narrowly on one topic. It's going to explore the guiding question, how does my chosen concept, my one topic, expand and or limit personal and collective human agency? So what we're going to be doing is taking that one topic you selected from our exercise where we looked at, I think, about 17 different choices and pulled out one. This is the topic that you've already done some general web research on and found a peer-reviewed article about. So with this research foundation, you're going to put together an 8-paragraph paper that studies this one concept in detail, looking at how it interacts with individual personal agency and collective agency. So that's really important idea. And in fact, I'm going to say personal, okay, but really a better word here is individual agency, which includes personal agency, but we can also talk about when we're looking at individual agency, how agency affects individuals within a group as opposed to the group as a whole. So individual is actually a better word than personal. So to have this 8-paragraph paper on one idea, we're going to need to start off with an introduction that presents your topic, explains your topic to someone who's never heard of it before. If you recall, in our first paper, we developed 3 thinking skills: explain, apply, evaluate. We're going to use those all again in different paragraphs in this paper. And the first technique we're going to use is explaining. We're going to explain our chosen concept to someone who's never heard of it using only our general web resources and that we just found in our research and the course readings. We're saving the peer-reviewed article for its own paragraph. We're going to have a whole paragraph just about that peer-reviewed article. What we're doing here is a general intro. If someone's never heard of our concept, we're going to use definitions and examples that we find in our course readings, in our web research, but not our peer-reviewed article. We're going to use those definitions and examples from our course readings and our web research and integrate them into a paragraph using short quotes and paraphrases that are woven into our sentences. So you can see here the rubric criteria. You might want to pause and take a look at those for a few minutes before you watch the rest of the video. But what I'm going to do is jump right into a sample paragraph and use the sample paragraph to give you clearer examples of what I'm talking about. And as I do this, I can also look with you at some sentence style and structure issues we've been looking at so you can see those. So you're going to notice the first sentence of the paragraph jumps right into definition. And we're using YOSO, and we're using short quotes integrated into the sentences so they flow. We're avoiding verbs like states, says, writes, or explains, getting right into definitions and how they work. We notice here that the mechanics are correct. We have a quotation mark, we have a space, we have a parenthetical, then we have the page number, then we have another parentheses, then we have the period. So that's our correct format when we are citing. All right. Next sentence, introductory prepositional phrase and an elaboration on the definition offered in the first sentence. Next sentence, introductory prepositional phrase and a news source. This is a web source that's being integrated into the paragraph. It's a second definition of the concept. This is a really important thing to think about. We're not looking to define the concept in as few words as we can. We're looking to provide as detailed and thorough an explanation of the concept as we can to a reader. So we want to use multiple definitions. Notice here that when we integrate the quote, the punctuation is inside the quotation mark. That is because we don't have a citation. Why don't we have a citation? Because it's a website that doesn't have page numbers, and we've used the name of the author in the sentence. Remember, when you've used the name of the author and it's clear to the reader which author you're quoting from, You only need a page number in a citation. And if there's a website and there's no page numbers, then there's nothing to put in a citation, so you don't need one. When you don't have a citation, this is how you punctuate. Next sentence is really cool because it uses an introductory subordinate clause, which is terrific. Really a nice long introductory subordinate clause that works a short quote into it. Notice how it has a comma at the end before the main clause, which is about African American mothers. And of course, African American mothers are the example that the intro is using. They're an example of resistant capital. And then again, the nice integration of short quotes into the sentence. Here, because we have not mentioned the writer, and it would be unclear to the reader whether we're talking about Mitchell or Yoso, we put Yoso in the citation with a page number, parentheses, and the period is outside the quotations. The next sentence gives us another interesting example using a Spanish language quote that points us to Latinos and Latina families and communities and how this idea of resisting capital is important there. Next sentence uses an introductory prepositional phrase, so we can see we're using all our connection and transition techniques to guide our readers through the paragraph. Notice the correctly punctuated integrated citation. And then I want to talk about this last sentence because it's not typically an approach I recommend, but I like how this author worked with it. Normally I say if you introduce an example, do it one at a time, take a couple sentences to explain it. And that's 9 out of 10 times the right way to handle examples. But this author does something nice. At the end of a paragraph that's used multiple definitions to explain a concept and multiple examples to elaborate on that concept so that someone who's never heard of it before really has a grasp of it. Now the paragraph kind of culminates with one sentence that identifies like 4 important historical examples of how this resistant capital students develop can change American history. So there's those references to the crossing of the Edmund Pettus Bridge during the Civil Rights Movement, the Latino school walkouts, and of course, in our lifetimes, the Black Lives Matter movement. So it's really kind of a clever way to pull together the intro with one culminating sequence of examples that are so famous they sort of speak for themselves. And the sentence sets up very nicely how those examples are the benefit of this kind of resistant capital and why we as a society want it. So it's really, really a strong paragraph, a good example for you to work with as you draft your own. Have it out on the screen, have it up in front of you as you work back and forth. Okay, good luck with it. I look forward to seeing your awesome ideas.